Right. Whoosh. Oh, I forgot to turn on my camera. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that's embarrassing. Here I am, trying to look more and more like I know what I'm doing, and it just end up looking less and less like I know what I'm doing. There we go. Hello there. I'm EnviroBoy. This is my channel. Welcome. Welcome one, welcome all. We are here on a Thursday, and we're gonna do some writing like we do, and have some fun doing working on our sort of house rules types of writing that I like to do for D&D here. We're going to spend some more time exploring and goofing around with trying to come up with fun, interesting enchantments and the like. And it's kind of turning into a little side project of mine to kind of create an entire compendium for all existing spells, to find a way to create an enchantment of sorts for each of them. It's I didn't really intend for it to be a full-blown project, but honestly, I just have so much fun doing it that I'm just gonna keep trying to do that, honestly. Like, it's fun and it's enjoyable. I don't really have a reason to stop doing it. So we're going to work on that a little bit today. Hopefully everyone is on board and excited about it like I am. I'm hoping that my interest in this project is infectious and people enjoy doing it. I also, you can kind of see on the screen, I did like try and fix up my chat a little bit. So hopefully it's a bit easier to look at and is actually functional. It's not exactly the aesthetic I would have chosen, but it fits. It works, and I'm choosing function over form right now. And then we can keep exploring with ways to try and make it look prettier, but my time and resources are limited, so I'm doing what I can with what I have. So, at any rate, let's go ahead and get ourselves to our live scene here. And we're going live. There we go. Yeah, see, look at that. Chat looks much more functional and interesting there. It's kind of in the way of writing, but what I can do is I can just do that so we can still see all the writing and stuff, right? So I think it'll be good. It'll be nice and fun. So yeah, so we've been working on just like one spell at a time, going through and coming up with fun, interesting enchantment ideas. And I've kind of got this thought in mind that we can, like, kind of eventually over time just kind of create an entire compendium of how every single spell can be used as an enchantment, right? Because, like, the idea isn't necessarily that this is the end all be all. Oh, you know, you have to do it this way if you want to do an enchantment. You know, it's their options, but it's kind of meant to be, or at least what I'm kind of turning it into, is to be like a springboard baseline that you can use, so that way things are kind of already established and you already have something in mind if you have a player that wants to start getting creative with this kind of stuff. And you know, I'm putting all this work into it already, and I'm wondering if it might be kind of a fun thing to try and turn into a little, like, drive-through RPG type of bonus thing that people, if they're interested in, can download and stuff. So I don't know if that'll ever come to be, because it requires a lot of time and effort that I don't know that I have the time or the energy for. But you know, it's just a thought. It's just a thought. But in order to get to that point, we got to kind of keep working on it. So I'm just gonna pick us up where we left off. We've been going through all of the, you can kind of see in our thing here, we're kind of going through all of the Conjuration School of Magic's spells, and just kind of one at a time going through it. We're up to the level 3 spells, which is pretty good progress. We're definitely making some good progress on it all, and I think it'll work out pretty well. And we just kind of keep going. So I'm going to have us do exactly that. Just keep working on all that stuff. We're going to copy our template here. And then let's see. I've just been putting one space. That's all we need. So let's go ahead and see what our next spell is going to be. Just picking up where we left off, right? We want to go to advanced filters, so we can go to conjuration is what we're working on, and we're working on our 3rd level spells. So we'll go ahead and filter them all. And the last one we did was conjure barrage. So now we're on to create food and water. Which my immediate thought is it'd be really cool if you could like have a cup or a bowl of create food and water or something like that. I think would be really fun. But at any rate, we're gonna go ahead and do this. So our first thing we want to do here is just get our title in place. Create food and water. Oh, kitty. The cat has a lot of energy today. We have recently gotten back into the habit of, because I've just been lazy. I've been lazy and not remembering to do it. I've recently gotten back to filling up the bird feeder right outside the windows, and so we are having a lot of fun running around watching the birds and squirrels that show up because of the filled bird feeders. And she is absolutely in love with that, but then sometimes she gets really excited and has to come tell me about the cool bird that she just saw. So expect her to do a little bit of extra running around, but I'm glad to see her so happy and perked up. I think it's good, and I feel bad that I've been forgetting to do it for so often. But yeah, if you occasionally see a cat tail go by and suddenly the camera shakes, it's because my cat is very excited and running back and forth across the desk. So you know, it's a cat. What are you gonna do? You can't really do anything to control her. That's just how they. That's just what they do. So, all right. So create food and water, and then just my pattern. What I usually like to do here is just kind of take our baseline here and kind of and put this on, you know, and copy and paste it, and then we can just make small changes as we need to. And it's and that can be a good way to just sort of give us our springboard that we're looking for. So with this particular spell, I don't think we need to worry about on weapons versus armor. Most of the conjuration ones aren't going to necessarily be very different between weapons and armor. There are a lot of types of spells that I think you can kind of come up with different effects based on if you are talking about a like using it as an attack versus having it be some sort of defensive mechanism. I think a lot of spells can kind of be designed to be a little different, going back and forth depending on what you want to do with it. And so I kind of put that there. But the conjuration ones, it's kind of, in a lot of them, it's kind of not essential. Oh man, she's losing her mind. Oh, it's because there's a nuthatch out there. So her favorites are the nuthatches, because they hang on the feeder upside down, and she thinks that's just the most amazing thing in the world. So this cat's freaking out. I love that little cat. But yeah, for a lot of the conjuration ones, having a difference between doing like an offensive versus defensive thing doesn't make a lot of sense, or at least it doesn't end up looking a whole lot different, because it really just kind of ends up being like the best way to kind of create them as an enchantment is to just have them be, you know, you invoke the casting of the spell by having a command word associated with that item, right? So it ends up being like that, because with some spells, with a lot of spells really, you can kind of set it up, and my idea is always to set it up so that the player can sort of choose what the trigger is beyond having a command word for it, right? So they can choose to have their, you know, if they want it to be defensive, they can have it be like once per day. The first time it happens that they get hit in combat, it'll trigger the event, right? Or with their, like if they want to put an enchantment on a sword, you can, depending on how you structure it, have it be on the first attack you do this, right? Or it's like it automatically will have a slight effect on the sword and how the sword behaves and all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of get creative with a lot of them. But when it's conjuration, when it's conjuration magic, it doesn't really work in that way, because it's not like your sword is going to differently conjure a bunch of birds than your armor would. It's just they kind of create a pack of birds. And so you can kind of, some of them you can kind of change, right? Where it's like, okay, if it's on armor, you know, suppose we're talking about, like we did the conjure barrage. You could kind of, in a way, think about it being different, as in, so when you like, you know, when you use an offensive weapon, it does one thing, but then on defense, it just like doubles your armor or something like that. You could kind of do that, but even then, it doesn't really make sense. So I don't know. I'm kind of over explaining it at this point, I think. But the point is, a lot of these ones, it doesn't really matter what you put it on. It's gonna probably end up looking largely the same. And a lot of these conjuration spells, when used as enchantments, are going to end up being things that just things that they probably won't even feel the urge to put it on a weapon or an armor, and just put it on something more mundane. So like this one, create 45 pounds of food and 30 gallons of water on the ground or in containers within range, enough to sustain up to 15 humanoids or 5 steeds for 24 hours. The food is bland but nourishing, and spoils if uneaten after 24 hours. The water is clean and doesn't go bad. Right, so it's like, they're probably not going to bother having a sort of food conjuring, although that would be kind of funny. Like they're in the middle of a fight, and then all of a sudden someone gets blasted with like 45 pounds of cheese wheels or something like that. That would be amazing. But yeah. But yeah, so it's you know, it's in this type of situation, it doesn't really matter what item it goes on. It's probably going to end up looking the same. So, and this one, I don't think we need to change a whole lot to make it an enchantment, because what this is going to be, like I say, it's going to be something. I would almost make it like a worry stone of create food. So it's like, if you're sitting there and you need food, you just pull out the stone that you've enchanted with this item or imbued with this spell, and you hold on to it and you know, say the command word, and it'll cast that. And like I say, you just kind of default this one to once every 24 hours, and you can kind of end up there with it. So create 45 pounds of food and 30 gallons of water on the ground or in containers within range, up to sustain. Yeah, so I'm just going to say, when the item is held and the command word is spoken, you create 45 pounds of food and 30 gallons of water on the ground or in containers within range, enough to sustain up to 15 humanoids or 5 steeds for 24 hours. Food is bland but nourishing, and spoils if uneaten in 24 hours. Water is clean and doesn't go bad. And I'm just going to say, used once per day. And we'll just have that be our default there. And it's a simple thing. But I think it's, you know, and a lot of these things too, there's a good chance that they'll seem a little overpowered as an enchantment, some of these things, especially if they're given to a non-magic user. But I think if you default to once per day, and when you consider the system in place for enchanting, right, because I make sure my players, these aren't things that they can just like buy with a handful of gold. Right, they have to go through the process of enchanting that item themselves, and so when you add the time and time investment into it, especially over the grand scale of a campaign, where it might take them, you know, 5 to 10 sessions to even make a dent in the crafting process, you know, then it ends up being that a lot of these, especially as you get higher and higher level spells, are going to be very late game creations for players. So I don't worry too much about that, especially with something like this, because this type of one is really going to be a non-combat oriented thing, and so it'll just make it easier for them to handle logistics. And it's the type of thing that most players will either ignore and not worry about if it's not, you know, if your game isn't one that includes paying attention to those logistics, or if your game is one, then they'll be really excited to have it, and it'll be perfect, so that way they can focus more on other minutia and things like that. But But yeah, I think this will be fine. And then, as always, I think where it really gets fun is if you have a sentient, if you accidentally grant it sentience or curse the item. I think it'll be really fun. So, generally speaking, when it comes to good and evil, for a sentient enchanted item, it has a lot more to do with attitude and stuff. And so, like, for this one, I would say probably good is that, like, like, I guess what I would say here is the item will always try its best to maximize how much of the food and water is entered into useful containers. Like, it'll always do that. And then if it's evil, I would say it's completely fine with wasting it. The item will go out of its way to miss containers and make as much of the food unusable as possible. So just be a jerk about it, really. It's like it'll throw all of the water it'll throw into dirt just to make a mud puddle and be like, oops, my bad. And it'll just do it that way. And if it's lawful, my thought is the food will be as nourishing and helpful as possible. And then if it's chaotic, the quality of the food will be very unpredictable. Because I know it says that, like, the food can't, like, it's bland but nourishing and stuff, but, like, if you make it lawful good or something like that, it'll try to make, like, the best that it can with it. Because, like, one might argue that bread is kind of bland, but there is also a definite difference between good and bad bread without even worrying about if it's spoiled or not. And so that's kind of the idea I have there. So chaotic, it's very unpredictable. Lawful, it'll always try to be nourishing and helpful as possible, so it'll try to make sure, even if it's just like a little bit of bland jerky or something like that, like it gives you diverse nutrients, things like that. You know, it'll give you some carrots, and it'll make sure you have a well-rounded meal. Whereas the chaotic one, it's like you might end up with 45 pounds of beef jerky, which is just not very helpful if you're trying to feed your horses and stuff like that. So I feel like that kind of adds some interesting variation, and just makes it funny in general. And isn't that what we're all always after? Always after the amusement, after all. So okay, so we got that one, and then let's see here. And now we get to do if it's cursed, which I always find to be extra funny and hilarious. 1 second, hold on, let me check. Okay. Alright, yeah, so I always like the cursed nature of it, just because I think it's really interesting to have the opportunity to kind of, like a cursed item, as far as I'm concerned, lets you really play with the nature of the spell, and lets you get kind of wild and crazy with all of that. You know, and so I always like to give it sort of an extra benefit, but then there's a problematic side effect, right? And so what I want to do for this one, cursed, produces twice the amount of food and water, so it does that. And then, but the problematic side effect, we'll say a 1 in 10 chance when eating that it will poison you and reduce your max HP by, we'll say, by 1d12 for 24 hours. Like, the idea, like, I'm just thinking, like, there's a chance that it'll give you food poisoning. So it's like, it's really good because it does twice as much, so you can presumably feed twice as many people, but there is a 1 in 10 chance that it gives you food poisoning. which is probably inconsequential because then people will be like, well, I guess we'll just rest another day. But then if they have to keep going through and playing roulette with it every day, you know, it can really change their timeline if they're working on time-sensitive things. Is sort of the idea that I have, and I think that'd be really funny. I think it'd be really funny to do that. It's a more harmless curse than most, but still, you know, something that'll really bother someone. And I think what I really like about this is what it takes to remove must be removed by magical means, otherwise it will self-cast constantly, attempting to crush you under the weight of endless food and water. So it's like if you try to remove it, it's just going to try and crush you with food. So just all of a sudden you're just getting piled upon with apples, just like, you know, 45 pounds of apples. Like, it's a cursed item, so it starts kind of breaking its own rules, and it's like it'll sacrifice itself for the sake of trying to, you know, stop you from removing it. And again, I just think that would be really funny. So I think it's perfect. I think that's simple, and I think that's really all we need to worry about with that one. So I'm just gonna keep us going. Keep us going with all of this. I really do have fun doing these. I hope there's anyone out there that has fun watching me do these, or kind of work on it along with me, because I really have a good time doing it. Okay, let's see here. Let's go on to our next spell. Hopefully one that's maybe a bit more complicated, just so we can have some more fun with it. Galder's Tower. Okay. Alright. Conjure a 2-story tower made of stone, wood, or similarly suitable sturdy materials. Tower can be round or square in shape. Each level of the tower is 10 feet tall and has an area of up to 100 square feet. Access between levels consists of a simple ladder and hatch. Each level takes one of the following forms, chosen by you when you cast the spell. Okay, alright. I like how they call it a 2-story tower. That doesn't feel very towering to me, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I'll be perfectly honest here. That doesn't sound like it's towering to me, but hey, you know, that's okay. Alright, let's see here. Higher levels when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher. Tower can have 1 additional story for each spell slot beyond 3rd. Okay, yeah, and that's where it becomes a tower. Got it. Okay. I have an idea for this one. So, Galder's Tower. Galder's Tower. Did I spell Galder's right? Galder's Tower, yep. Okay. And then, again, there's no difference between weapons and armor, so we're just going to say on all items. No matter what you enchant with it, it's going to end up looking the same. Let's do that. Have that, and then paste all of that. So we're going to let's see here. It's got to figure out how to get our formatting right here. Bullet point that. Actually, I wonder if yeah, there we go. All right. I know. Hi, kitty. Are you having fun? Are you having fun chasing the birds? Yep, there's the cattail. You're just coming by to say hi. Like I say, she likes to come by and let me know that she's having fun with the birds. I know. I see you, cat. Her tail is very active right now. That's how you can tell that she's having a good time. I know. Kitty. Alright. You just keep doing your thing and almost whacking me in the face with your tail. She is beside herself with how much fun she's having chasing those birds out there. She is just absolutely unable to contain herself. Okay, so I'm going to say when the we'll say when the item is cast upon the ground, it conjures a 2-story tower made of wood or similar suitably sturdy materials. Tower can be round or square in shape. Each level of the tower is 10 feet tall and has an area of up to 100 square feet. Access between levels consists of a simple ladder and a hatch. Each level takes one of the following forms chosen by you when you cast the spell. So I think that's perfectly fine, but I'm going to say instead of when you cast the spell, we're going to say when you use the item. When you use the item. A bedroom with a bed, chairs, chest, and magical fireplace. A study with desks, books, bookshelves, parchment, ink, and ink pens. A dining space with table, chairs, magical fireplace, containers, and cooking utensils. Oops, got my little noontime alarm going off here. Always got to keep that clock in mind, right? There we go. Okay. Yeah, so it's got all of those things. I think we can leave all the rooms as is. I don't feel like that needs any changing for the sake of making it a what am I trying to say here? An enchantment versus a spell. I think ultimately that's the same. You cast the item on the ground and it'll form the tower. I think that's fine. Interior of the tower is warm, dry, regardless of conditions outside. Any equipment or furnishings conjured within the tower dissipate into smoke if removed from it. At the end of the spell's duration, all creatures and objects within the tower that were not created by the spell appear safely outside on the ground, and all traces of the tower and its furnishings disappear. Perfect, I think that's great. You can cast the spell again while it is active to maintain the tower's existence for another 24 hours. You can create a permanent tower by casting the spell the same location with the same configuration every day for 1 year. Oh, it's interesting. Let's see here. Does that mean I need to? I want to check something here. 10. Let's see here. Duration 24 hours. Yeah. So I'm actually okay with that because it's once per day. Let's see, at the end of the spell's duration, and I'm just gonna put in parentheses 24 hours. Cast the spell again while it is active to maintain the tower's existence for another 24 hours. You can create a permanent tower by casting the spell. Let's see here. So I'm gonna say you can. Okay, here's what I want to do. You can cast this. I'm gonna say enchantment again. Enchantment again. It is active to maintain 24 hours. I'm going to say by repeating the command word. That's what I'm looking for. Repeating the command word within the final 1 hour. 1 hour of previous casting. You can create a permanent tower by casting the spell in the same location for every year. I'm going to say, and what I'm going to say is, the enchanted item remains on the floor of the conjured tower in the center of the bottom floor, and the tower can be dispelled early by picking up the item. So the item stays there. Like when you use it for an enchantment, the item will stay there, and then when you pick it up, that will be you canceling it out if you so choose, or you can just speak the command word again and it will stay put. It's the idea that I have anyway. And then at higher levels we can leave that there. So okay, what I want to do here is my idea for if it's going to be sentient. We're going to say if sentient, it becomes a magical house, like something out of a Disney movie. Like I just have this idea of it being like a Fantasia type of house where it's like the brooms will start dancing and stuff, and like the house is interactive, and it will like have a personality or something. Is what I have in mind for it. I think I think that would be really fun. I think it'd make it really interesting. So if it's good, the tower will be quite helpful, taking care of standard upkeep for you so that you never have to worry about tidying up. And then if it's evil, what I'm going to say is will actively try to hide things from you. I think actually we can just leave it there. Like, it'll try and hide things. Like, if you're trying to find a pen, even though it, like, will cast a pen, it will, like, try and hide them under the floorboards and stuff. It'll go out of its way to do that. And then if it's lawful, I think what I'm going to say is will always produce the most useful form of the intended floors. But then if it's chaotic, will produce random floors, regardless of casters' desires. Is my idea there. I think that'll be perfect. I don't think we need anything else. I actually really like the idea of it just like randomly forms whatever floors it feels like forming. Like and like it just, my thought is, I mean, what do we have here? How many? We have 7 different rooms. But then if we just like nix the unfurnished empty room idea and just roll a d6 to randomly decide what rooms are there, I think that would be really funny. Even if players cast it at like a really high level, so that in theory you could have one of each floor, I think it'd be really funny if you still did that. So it might end up having like 4 dining spaces or something stupid like that. I think that would be really funny. I think it'd be perfect. So I don't know. I think it seems fun. I don't know if anyone else would agree, but I think it's an amusing idea. All right, so we got that there. And now if it's cursed, so here's the fun part for this one. If it's cursed, my thought is that it would be a haunted house of sorts. I want to say, if cursed, I want to say can be used, actually, what I want to say, so it's like it's got to have some sort of powerful benefit. If cursed, will always produce twice as many floors as it should. But then my idea, problematic side effect, my thought is it becomes like a cursed haunted house, is filled with undead enemies. And so like my thought is that you would just do like a random encounter of monsters every time you went in there. So it's like you could use it for farming. It would go out of its way. And what it takes to remove, and I'm going to say magical means are required for disposal of the item, or else it will try to self-cast and crush those trying to remove it with the tower. So it'll just try and my thought is that it'll just like, if this is a cursed, stone of Galder's tower. Okay, hi, bye, cat. She's got so much energy today. My thought is if you try to get rid of a cursed version of this, it will basically just try and Wizard of Oz you, and try to just have the house fall on you and just crush you, which I think would be really funny. I think that would be incredibly hilarious. But that's also because I'm the DM, and I don't have I would never have a player at stake in that situation. So So the bot in the chat, the bot is the music bot that comes with the free version of using Pretzel, because I don't want it to just be silent. So I use music and I use Pretzel, but it requires that all of the songs there. So if you like any of the songs, there you go. There's the titles, and it's supposed to put the links in there. But I also use AutoMod and don't allow links so people don't share nasty things, and also to help get rid of all of them purchase viewers bots, and so it doesn't do that one. So now you get the name and the name and the artist, but you don't get the link to it. So I don't know. It's an imperfect system. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing or how to specialize these things. But hey, you know, it works. Also, welcome. We're having some fun coming up with enchantment versions of all of the D&D spells, so that way within the homebrew enchanting rule system that I have for my players, we can have them create wild and wacky enchanted items, which is just so much more fun than finding generic enchanted items. I always find my players seem to agree. So let's see here. You're a little playing some spells. You are in the right place. You are in the right place. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Can't handle 1080p. That's rough. That's rough. Yeah, I'm lucky that I've got pretty solid, consistent Wi-Fi, but yeah, I feel ya. Plastic Surgeon Cleric. That sounds like so I'm in a Pathfinder campaign as a player. That's a good pun right there. That's genuinely a good pun, and that's like nearing on Ring of the Grammarian territory right there, which is always a positive in my book. I like both of those, prestidigitation and modify I think I like modify memory best. I like that one a lot. I think that was really funny. Well done. Well done. Oh man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Let's see here. Okay, so the next spell here, so I'm just like going down the list here. Just going down the list of the spells here. We just did Galder's Tower, Hunger of Hadar. So we're gonna create an enchantment version of Hunger of Hadar. And it's I don't know. I have a lot of fun doing these things. And to me, a lot of times too, it ends up being a really good creative writing exercise. It helps me just sort of. I find it helps me sort of it helps me be more aware of just all the spells and stuff. Hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. There's your look at that beautiful graphic. Look at that beautiful graphic. Yeah, most definitely we'll go through and explain the spells and everything. Because like the process that I do is I basically come up with this, like I look at the spell as it is, and then we just sort of change it in whatever way is necessary to make it so that it can function as an item that you use to cast the spell like once per day. And it definitely helps with creativity. And like I say, I use this in the game that I let's see here, copy this, and then we'll put it here. No, it's not. You're absolutely right. And we explain it and go through all of it as part of the thing anyway. So I mean that's the whole point. If I wanted to just like silently write things without talking about it, then I wouldn't stream. But so yeah, so for this one, so let's just go ahead and go through the spell actually here. So you open a gateway to the dark between the stars, a region infested with unknown horrors. This is great. A 20-foot radius sphere of blackness and bitter cold appears, centered on a point with range and lasting for the duration. This void is filled with a cacophony of soft whispers and slurping noises that can be heard up to 30 feet away. It sounds like as a kid when the family dog would sleep in my room and I would wake up in the middle of the night to her bathing herself. It's a cacophony of soft whispers and slurping noises. Can be heard up to 30 feet away. No light, magical or otherwise, can illuminate the area, and creatures fully within the area are blinded. Let's see here. The void creates a warp and fabric of space, and the area is difficult terrain. Any creature that starts its turn in the area takes 2d6 cold damage. Any creature that ends its turn in the area must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 2d6 acid damage as milky, otherworldly tentacles rub against it. This is just the most uncomfortable spell. The most uncomfortable spell. Oh my goodness gracious. It's disgusting. Let's see here. Okay, what do you got for me? As I'm tying a string to your finger, or forget something. Bring a modify memory called Forget Me Not. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Man, you're full of puns, man. You got the puns for days. You got the puns for days. It's pun believable what you're coming up with right now. See what I did there? Oh, that's great. But man, this spell is disgusting. This spell is disgusting, and I love it. So we're gonna say on any item again. I don't think this is one that's going to be, the nature of the enchantment is going to differ based on what item you are putting it in, or putting it on, I should say. So we're just gonna paste all of that stuff. That's just the easiest way to do it. Copy and paste, and then we can make and then we can sort of do our modifications as needed for it here. So let's go ahead and get through here. Magic mistletoe. Yep, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, so let's hear. You open a gateway. So, So my initial thought is this one. When the enchanted item is cast upon the ground, it opens a gateway to the stars, a region infested with unknown horrors. 20-foot radius. Sphere of blackness and bitter cold appears, centered on, I'm going to say, instead of on a point within range, and we're going to say centered on the object. Centered on the object, and lasting for the duration. This void is filled with a cacophony of soft whispers and slurping noise. God, like, people get all precious about the word moist. That one doesn't bother me. But slurping kind of does. Slurping makes me a little uncomfortable. This is a very Call of Cthulhu style spell. Am I right? Like this is very Lovecraftian. Let's see here. So, okay. Slurping noises that can be heard up to 30 feet away. No light, magical, or otherwise can illuminate the area, and the creatures fully within the area are blinded. Let's see, I'm just gonna remove that link because it won't work right. There we go. Someone eating soup without lips. Ugh. Gosh, that's another awkward. It's like, I feel like that's a double whammy of uncomfortable visual, like, mental image, because not only is it just like kind of gross, but it also just makes me feel bad because it makes me feel like I'm like being creeped out by someone with a disability when I imagine that, and that just makes me feel like a jerk. All right, the void creates a warp in the fabric of space in the area is difficult terrain. Any creature that starts its turn in the area takes 2d6 cold damage. Any creature that ends its turn in the area must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 2d6 acid damage as a milky, otherworldly tentacle rubs against it. Like, I know I shouldn't make fun because I'm sure there are plenty of people that think about that and that is just what they are into. But my goodness gracious, I am not one of them. And that is an otherworldly tentacle rubbing against you. I just don't know what to do with that. That is such an uncomfortable concept here. Yeah, it was. Hold on, let me allow that one. Yeah, we'll allow that. It is definitely made by a pervert. It had to have been. So, I don't know. I feel like that might be a little harsh to assume, but someone who definitely knows how to use borderline imagery for the sake of increasing discomfort. They have a secret edition of their own, don't we all? Don't we all have our own headcanon that really just appeals to only us and no one else? The Ball of Cthulhu. Yeah. I don't know. I think we're talking about the other part rather than the ball here, but I know where you're going with it. Oh my god. So now, if this item is sentient, given the nature of how this one is written, I feel like the sentience is gonna be just extra uncomfortable here. So, okay. This is gonna be okay. I have an idea. I'm gonna lean into this. I'm gonna lean into this for this one. Good. All right, here we go. Here we go. If it ends up being a sentient item and it's good, we'll always ask for consent first before doing anything with the tentacles. If it's evil, the tentacles are very targeted. Targeted. There it is. In where they rub. And we'll just leave that at ... there. We'll not explain that one in any more detail. I don't think we need it. I think just the imagination will handle that one just fine. Absolutely just fine. If it's lawful, so if it's a lawful, oh man, what would a lawful thing of this be? I feel like if it's just like if it's lawful, the tentacles. I'm gonna say, the tentacles will only target the obvious enemies of the caster. So whoever uses it, like the obvious enemies of that person is who the thing will target. And then for chaotic, the tentacles just go wild. And we're just gonna leave that as another ... Consent part is lawful. It's true. That's true. That like, and we could kind of switch the. That's a good point. We can kind of switch the what I put for the good and for the lawful there. I like that one. The tentacles just go wild. Whatever that means. No, you know what? Actually, I'm with you. I think that's a good point. We're gonna go ahead and swap these up here. We'll paste that one there, and then copy, delete that, and then come here. There we go. Paste it. There we go. So there we go. That's perfect. Spot on. Let's see here. Obvious enemies would be neutral. See, I consider that good because if something comes out as too neutral in its personality, my thought is that it just like behaves 100% normally, like it's just 100% normal and indifferent about everything, and it just sounds like Eeyore all the time, and it's just really bored. Like it's just really bored and sad, or like the depressed robot in Hitchhiker's Guide, right? Like that's how I imagine a true neutral, which is why I don't really put anything for that. If they end up with a true neutral item, then it's just like such a net like equal. Like there's nothing gained or lost in that scenario. But now the fun one is if it's cursed. So the extra powerful benefit. So for cursed items, I always have them be extra powerful, but then there's obviously going to be a lot of like something very dangerous and not so great about it. So extra powerful benefit. I'm going to say the radius. The radius? No, the radius of the void is 30 feet. So it's bigger. And then, but then the problematic side effect, the way I see, like what I am imagining with this, is it has its own gravitational pull, and any creature within 60 feet of it, of the item, gets pulled in by like 5 feet unless they can make a save or something like that. Is what my thought is for that one. I got to think about exactly how the mechanics of that will end up working out, but that's what my thought is for it. To kind of to make it be like, hey, it's extra powerful, but you know, be careful when you use it. And then like let's see here. So let me figure that out. Let me hammer that out. Character idea you had. Absolutely. Throw it at me. Okay, radius of the void is 30 feet. Let's see here. Any creature within 60 feet of the item. Any creature within 60 feet of the item. Mute spellcaster. Okay. Okay. So if, my immediate question, going with the monk sorcerer, is it a vow of silence mute or is it like a disability mute? Those are different things, right? Can't speak but has telepathy. Okay. All right. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Any creature within 60 feet of the item is pulled towards any creature. I'm going to say any creature, including the caster, and 60 feet of the item is pulled towards it at the beginning of the caster's turn. We'll say strength save of DC 13 must be made, or else that creature is pulled 10 feet closer to the item. So it's like a gravitational pull, and it'll pull them in there. Is my thought. I think that'd be interesting. Yeah, a vow of silence would be really interesting. I actually kind of like that idea. Like someone who wants to use spells, but like they have the vow of silence, so it's just like, I don't know, like it would, like it, to me that speaks to like, then you have a character who's like an extra powerful student of magic, having learned how to cast spells without having any sort of vocal component. I think that'd be really interesting. Yeah, absolutely would have to use subtle spell to keep it within the rules. I think that'd be really cool. It's a good idea. All right, and then what it takes to remove. Must be removed by magical means, or else it will self-cast and try to trap the user and anyone helping them within the void. So it's like if you try to get rid of it, it'll just try and like get you in the remove doing loop. No, I think that would just make it more happy. I think that would just please it, honestly. That would make it cling even harder. Ugh. No thank you. No thank you. That sounds like the worst enchantment ever, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's perfect. I think it's absolutely perfect. No disappointments. Nothing to improve upon. I think it's beautiful. Awesome. I love doing this project. This is such a goofy, nonsensical project, and it certainly has the potential to create so many broken items. But gosh dang it, I love it. I love it so much. I love playing games where things kind of get wacky and out of control. I think it just makes things really fun. Like, although I guess I should caveat that, because I also really like games that are very hardcore realistic. It's like, I guess I just like both extremes. Either a game where we get really fast and loose and everyone's like super mega powerful, and so you can just have really all kinds of fun doing wacky, wild things, or a game that is very, very grounded in trying to be as like realistic and serious as possible. I like one or the other. I don't like any of this in between mamby-pamby nonsense. That's not true. I love every form of game. I just love D&D in general. Undersmart can act like, oh yeah, that'd be like that you could use that like in conjunction with something. Like, I think it'd be really cool. That's the type of spell where I think it'd be really cool to have like a bow of Hunter's Mark, and so it's like whoever you hit with your bow, like you can have it, and it's like once per day, or like however many times you enchant it with, like they get the Hunter's Mark, so you can kind of like almost get a free cast out of it and stuff like that once per day. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I really love using this sort of enchantment system with. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, for sure. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. And that's the thing, too, when I'm coming up with these. It's all kind of meant to be just sort of like a springboard thing. When I have players that want to do enchantments with this type of stuff, I very much work with the player and try to figure out a balanced way for it to do whatever they kind of want it to do. because I view enchanting things as like the same as crafting your own items, and so someone who, you know, takes the time to make their own sword can really make it to their own specifications. So it's like, why not do that with magic? Like, I view magic within my homebrew world as being a very nebulous thing. It's more so it's just like, it's magical energy that there are known ways to form it, but you can also experiment it, right? Like, there are known ways to make a knife, but you can also experiment with it to make a different kind of knife. You know, same thing with magic. And so that's why I have a lot of fun with these and why I play pretty fast and loose with this kind of stuff, because I just sort of see it as being a very nebulous freeform type of thing. So I don't know, I have a ton of fun with it. So okay, we're gonna keep going. I've still got plenty of stream left to do here, but I'm one of those people that stays really hydrated. So I need to take a quick break and run to the bathroom. I will be right back very shortly. I'm just gonna leave this on the screen here. Sometimes I'll go to like my be back soon like pages because I think they look pretty, but honestly this is gonna take me like a minute tops. So I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. I will be right back, I promise. Sit tight and we will keep doing more magic. Yeah, I appreciate your patience. It's just, yeah, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate it. My bladder appreciates it. And let's see, let's get back to it. You made a water lightsaber thing that froze into the saber shape. Nice. Nice. I like it. It's like an ice saber. Not a lightsaber, it's an ice saber. which is really just a billy club and you just whack people with it. It's perfect. Alright, let's do another spell here. Pirate campaign, nice. That's kind of the nature of the campaign that I'm DMing right now. The guys all wanted to be pirates, so I was like, all right, it'll take place on the coast. It's perfect. Just a handle of water. I feel it. All right, let's see here. We need to get ourselves another spell going. All right, so we did Hunger of Hadar. Ooh, Sleet Storm. This will be an interesting one. All right. Until the spell ends, freezing rain and sleet fall in a 20-foot cylinder with 40-foot radius centered on a point you choose within range. The area is heavily obscured, and exposed flames in the area are doused. The ground in the area is covered with slick ice, making it difficult terrain. When a creature enters the spell's area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, it must make a dexterity saving throw. On failed save, it falls prone. If a creature starts its turn in the spell's area and is concentrating on a spell, the creature must make a successful Constitution save throw against your spell save DC or lose concentration. All right. I think this will be great. We're kind of just like creating magical grenades at this point in time, like with all these enchantments, because it really just kind of turns into, all of them are turning into items that into items that you throw it and it has an effect. Water elemental that you put in at once. That's impressive. What order am I reading the spells? We're going by spell level, so we're doing the 3rd level conjuration spells right now, because it's first by School of Magic, then by level, so that we can break them up and organize it, and then from there it's just alphabetical. So we're going alphabetically through the 3rd level conjuration spells is what we are working on right now. And it's kind of arbitrary. I just do it so that way I can remember easily what I've already done as I'm slowly building up my personal compendium of all these weird, crazy enchantments. Let's see. Okay, wait, what was this called? Sleet Storm? Sleet Storm. Sleet Storm. And so instead of on weapons, this is again going to just be one that's on any item at all. On any item. Yeah, sometimes it makes sense to break them up. Oh, shoot. Sometimes it makes sense to break them up based on, like, offensive or defensive effects. And it can be really fun to kind of come up with what the differences would be between offensive and defensive. But for most of the conjuration spells, it just doesn't really make sense to do it that way. So I don't worry about it. Okay, so let's see here. When the item is thrown, let's see. So we're going to say when the item is thrown, when the enchanted item is thrown, freezing rain and sleet fall in a 20-foot cylinder centered on, we're going to say on the item. Centered on the item. The area is heavily obscured and exposed flames in the area are doused. Perfect. Weather affecting spells would be a staff with weather. Yeah, they could be. That's fair. Like, you could kind of do it this way. I think for me, a lot of it depends on, is there a defined space that it happens on, or is it like a larger, like something larger than that, you know? Like, does it control all weather, or does it just create a storm or something? And for me, part of making sure that it stays as an enchantment rather than being something too overpowered, having the item and like having that just be like it always forms directly around that item and then you throw it. Because like in theory you could do a staff and then if you hold the staff, but then the person holding the staff would be in the center of it at all times. Is sort of the idea, and that's to me what differentiates an enchanted item versus casting the spell. Because the idea too is that an enchanted item could be used by anyone who knows what the command word is. And so, but in order to have that kind of work, you wouldn't want a non-person, a non-magical person to be able to like point and extend the magic beyond the item itself. It would just be there. Instead of multiple spells. Absolutely. Any item, I allow any item to be I allow any item to be enchanted with multiple things if that's what the players want to do with it. Although I do, if players are getting multiple enchantments on a single item, I like to have them work on like ways in which the enchantments will intermingle and affect one another, especially if we're talking about more passive enchantments on a sword. Like if they create a sword that has both fire and ice effects, then it's like how would those intermingle, and would they cancel each other out or like, you know, compound upon each other? And to me that's where a lot of the fun of enchanting comes from, rather than, like I say, just giving them magical items and stuff. A snow globe grenade, absolutely. Okay, the ground in the area is covered with slick ice. If you get difficult terrain, creature enters the spell for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there. It must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, it falls prone. Just starts its turn in the spell's area and is concentrating on a spell. I think all of that stuff just stays the same. But instead, I'm going to say saving throw against a... I'm just going to say a DC 13. Saving throw DC DC 13. I always just do 10 plus whatever the spell level is. And so this one's like a 13. That's just the easiest way to do it, so that way it doesn't, like I say, that way anyone, whether they're a magical user or not, can use it. And I think that's perfect. That's perfect as is. And I think that'll be I think that suffices just fine for an enchantment there. Give your Holy Avenger legendary status. It's 5 to its bonuses and 5 random enchantments. Holy crap! That is a generous DM, and that is some power. Damn, son. All right. Let's see here. If sentient, if it's good. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know. What's a good sleet storm? Like what is a positive, like, good holy sleet storm? This is kind of a tricky one to think about here. If it's good, okay, so here we go. If it's good, let me think. I guess so. I guess my initial thought is, if it's good, it will like be just a gentle snow around friendlies to the user, and then really powerful against enemies. So the sleet storm is simply a gentle snowfall over creatures friendly to the caster. And then if it's evil, I feel like if it's evil, it like it goes out of its way to just be like extra violent to everyone. Although it's more chaotic. I don't know, like an evil would be a blizzard, but that's like the default for it, so it's not particularly evil. So it's like I gotta think about what would be something extra rude about a sleet storm, because it's already there, right? Oh, here we go. I have an idea. I have an evil. I have an evil. I have an idea for evil. Rain's Icicles, I was thinking about that, but I actually think I want to save that for the Cursed, because we can add some extra damage. Because like for me, when it's sentient, I try to not have it change the effects of the spells, just sort of like the nature and maybe a little bit who it targets with it. And so I like the Raining Icicles for Cursed, so that it'll do extra like piercing damage. But my thought with evil is that we'll actively try to build up ice around the feet of anyone within the range. I'm gonna say giving all creatures disadvantage when rolling to avoid falling prone. So it just goes out of its way to like try and build up extra stuff around. Cursed yellow snow. Ugh. That's chaotic. That's chaotic right there. Let's see here. Lawful. If it's lawful, so what would make a sleet storm lawful? What would make it a lawful storm? That's a tougher one to conceptualize, isn't it? I feel okay. Here we go. Well, let me see here. Freezing rain and sleet fall in a 20-foot tall cylinder with a 40-foot radius centered on the item. Area is heavily obscured, and exposed flames in the area are doused. I feel like what we can say is the borders of the build snowman. I feel like that's just like, that's good. Like that just sounds good and happy and fun. I'm gonna say the borders of the storm are extremely well defined, which is kind of just default of how the spell is, but I want to do that in contrast to chaotic. The borders are pretty loose, and the storm will move and change shape throughout the duration, occasionally reaching out to catch individuals near the borders. So it's like not necessarily that it's like actively trying to get them, because that would be more evil, but it's just like it's like rather than being just like a perfect cylinder, maybe it's a little oblong and like it kind of spins like along that oblong thing so that the area of it changes a little bit. It's a little chaotic. Follows the predictions of the weatherman on the news. Well, if that's the case, then it would always be 50% chance of rain. So, haha, zinger. I actually try to not be too mean to weathermen, because like when you think about it, that's the only profession where we expect people to predict the future and then get really mad at them when they can't. Like that's the only profession. It's the only profession where everyone expects them to be right and gets really mad at them when they can't predict the future. All right, if cursed. I'm gonna use that icicle idea. I like that one. Rains icicles, causing an extra 1d6 piercing damage to any creature starting their turn within the storm. We'll do that, but then I feel like the problematic side effect is I want to say the storm grows in radius by 5 feet per turn until actively dispelled by the caster. So it's like the storm will just keep growing. It'll just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they dispel it. And then must be removed magically, or else the item will form a concentrated sleet storm that constantly follows the wearer around until they give up trying to remove it. So if they try to get rid of it, the thing will just like self-cast, and it will just like make life miserable, and it'll make the person wearing it surrounded by just like I'm imagining Pigpen from like the Peanuts, right, where it's just like this like cloud of sleet storm just around only them and no one else. This is my immediate thought, and I think that sounds hilarious. Predicting transit times, yeah, seriously. Just wear into Jack Frost, pretty much, except that they're, rather than them being in control of the storm is control of them. Where it gets real dark and twisted right there. All right, I like that one. I actually really think that's a cool one. I think that'd be a really cool one to have just like a ring of that, you know, and so it's like if they take off the ring and like throw the ring on the ground, it'll cast it or something like that. I think that'd be really interesting. I think all of these would be really interesting. I would love to see players use any of these, because I think it's just a fun, exciting variation on the game that really adds a lot of variety to what's going on in any given session. I think it's a really cool idea. I have so much fun with these enchantments. Let's see here. Okay. So we got that one. On to the next one. Spirit Guardians. That's probably a good one. Call forth spirits to protect you. They flit around you to a distance of 15 feet for the duration. If you are good or neutral, their spectral form appears angelic or fey. If you are evil, they appear fiendish. Oh, that's awesome. It makes me think of the little chows from like Sonic. Yeah, like that, how like if you're like good to them, they turn into little angels, but if you're mean, they turn into like little devils. When you cast the spell, you can designate any number of creatures you can see to be unaffected by it. An affected creature's speed is halved in the area, and when the creature enters the area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, it must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 3d8 radiant damage if you are good or neutral, or 3d8 necrotic damage if you are evil. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage. Alright. I'm feeling this one. This would be an awesome one to like have a Spirit Guardian breastplate or something like that. Like, this would be a really awesome piece of armor to have. That is just like once per day, the armor will cast this, and you can be like extra protected or something. So Spirit Guardian, but I am gonna again with this one say it's on any item. On any item, because I don't see it being any different. Because like even if you had a sword of Spirit Guardian, it's like, okay, so they just center around the sword rather than the item. But like because it's centered around a point, that point is now the item. Is sort of how a lot of these turn into an enchantment, where it's just like that item is the focal point of the spell. Oh wait, no, hold on, I already copied it, so I can't paste it. And then get rid of the empty spaces here. Need them, and then bring our bullet points back. Pew! There we go. Call for spirits to protect you. They flit around you at a distance. Call for spirits to protect. I'm gonna say to protect the area surrounding the enchanted item. They flit around the item to a distance of 15 feet. Circlet of the Spirit Guardians. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like a Spirit Guardian crown or something like that. That'd be rad. That'd be so awesome. I want that item. I want this item. They flit around the item to a distance of 15 feet for the duration. If you are good or neutral, the spectral forms appear angelic, or fey, your choice. If you are evil, they appear fiendish. When you cast the spell, you can designate any number of creatures you can see to be unaffected by it. An affected creature's speed is halved in the area, and when the creature enters the area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, it must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 3d8 radiant damage if you are good or neutral, or 3d8 necrotic damage if you are evil. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage. Alright. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying with the Ouroboros. I think that'd be really cool. That would be really cool. Actually, I kind of like the idea of it just being like the Ouroboros snake that like forms just like this ring around you. That'd be kind of an interesting fey creature or something for it. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using the spell slot of instead of cast, we're just gonna say when you enchant an item with. When you enchant an item with the spell using a spell level of 4th level or higher. Damage increases by 1d8 for each slot level above 3rd. Yeah. Alright, that's perfect. And now see, this one's gonna be really fun for the sentience and the curse. So like sentient, if it's good, will appear angelic regardless of user's alignment, and then evil will appear fiendish regardless of user's alignment, and then actually will appear angelic and cause radiant damage, and then will appear fiendish and cause necrotic damage. There we go. So I want to make sure that part's clear too. Spirit Scepter, yeah, that's a good one. Spirit Cloud just fart in a jar. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, that kind of is. It's kind of always what it always has been. If you're casting at a spell, that's basically just like waving the fart at someone. And so using the enchantment, you can make a grenade of Stinking Cloud, which is basically just like a fart bomb. I feel ya. I'm not gonna try and change your mind because I think you're spot on I think that's exactly where it's at. I think it's pretty obvious, all things considered. Lawful's just a ghost of tax collectors. I was thinking lawful. I guess so for this one it's kind of easier because you can think about you can think about them as like being sentient beings really easily. And my first thought is here, will always only damage creatures of opposite alignment of the spirit guardians. So if they're good guardians, so if the guardian, so like if it's a good one, they'll only damage evil creatures and vice versa. Is what my thought is. So it's like if it's lawful evil, then they will only damage good creatures, right? And so like it'd be kind of funny to have, you know, an evil, one of those things, like a lawful evil, and it basically just doesn't damage anyone because you choose the people who it doesn't attack, and it'll obey that. But then if there's like you're only fighting evil creatures, but it's an evil thing, then it's just like, well, I'm not gonna hurt anyone, so take that. But then chaotic attacks everyone, including those the caster wishes to protect. So it's like a chaotic thing. It's like it don't give no craps about who you're trying to protect with that. So it's like you have to be much more conscious of like who's around you or who's around the item. So I think that's perfect. I don't think we need to add anything else for that one. I think that's perfect. Now cursed. Extra powerful benefit. I'm going to say, if cursed, twice as many guardians appear and form a 25 foot radius. But then the side effect is will also hurt the user for half damage. So it's like so it's like if you're willing to, you know, have that extra powerful benefit of it, but you have to be willing to take half the damage as well, and then what it takes to remove. So this is where these ones are fun. When there's like a creature that gets summoned with these things, trying to remove a cursed item, this is where it gets really fun because you can get like real Lovecraftian with this stuff. Must be removed automatically, or else will self-cast. When self-casting, the guardians will surround the we'll say the user and glare, causing full damage to them until they die or give up removing the item. So it's like the guardians, if you try to get rid of them, if it's cursed and you try to get rid of them, they'll just self-cast and they will basically just like threaten you like the mafia until they either kill you or you give up trying to get rid of that item, which is really dark and twisted. But hey, it's cursed. Hey, welcome to the Discord. I'll get you verified sometime later this afternoon once I have time to get on and manage all that stuff. But welcome and thank you for joining. I appreciate that. But yeah, I like that cursed item. I think that's a really good one. I think that'd be a really fun cursed item to give to people. It's got a very Ring of Power feel to it in general, where it's like it will happily kill the wearer for the sake of moving on to someone more powerful. I really like that. All right. Yeah, let's do another. Another stinking cloud. There it is. There's our fart in a jar. Let's do it. Let's do it. You create a 20-foot. Actually, wait, hold on. Before I dive into it, let me just get our little thing set up here. paste. There we go. And then we're gonna call that stinking cloud. Alright, let's see. Could be enslaved spirits. Ooh, that would be a really cool flavor thing. That would be really cool. That would be that you could like that could be turned into almost a full-blown campaign at that rate. At that point, like if you're gonna add that much lore to something, you could turn that into a campaign and have like, I mean, it would be kind of, it would be kind of in a lot of ways, it would be very heavily inspired by Lord of the Rings concepts, but you could have it be that there's this cursed ring, and like the more you learn about this ring, the more you recognize like the horrors of it. And it becomes about this like campaign to try and free the spirits from the item or something like that. That would be really interesting. That would be really, really interesting. Oh, there's my 1 o'clock alarm. All my timers to make sure I know exactly what time it is and what's going on in my life. All right. Yeah, no, I think that would be a really cool one. Heritage way to see their ancestors. Ooh, and that would make for a really interesting campaign, because then it's like, do they want to get rid of this cursed item that is like entrapping? Like, you know, that could be part of the storyline. Is like they think that it just gives like an image of the ancestors, right, or like a reflection of them, but it's like the actual souls of the ancestors that are perpetually trapped in the ring and can't be at rest. And so it's like over the course of the campaign you understand exactly what it is, and so it's like you have to be willing to give up your connection to like all those people of the past in order to let them be free. But then you also have to like learn how to do that or something. Oh, that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. Yeah, capture the spirits, changed by the nature of them. Yeah, so it's like it becomes like more sentient, and like if more evil people there like tries to achieve evil things. It's a really cool idea. That's a really interesting idea. That's a good one to shove in the back pocket for like potential campaigns in the future and stuff. I like that. All right, let's do stinking cloud here. Create a 20-foot radius sphere of yellow nauseating gas centered on a point within range. The cloud spreads around corners and its area is heavily obscured. The cloud lingers in the air for the duration. Each creature that is completely within the cloud at the start of its turn must make a Constitution saving throw against poison. On a failed save, the creature spends its action that turn retching and reeling. Creatures that don't need to breathe or are immune to poison automatically succeed on the saving throw. Moderate wind disperses the cloud after 4 rounds. Strong wind disperses after 1 round. Yeah, well, I cast He Who Denied It Supplied It, so, you know, take that. Alright, again, on any item. Any item. And then paste that. Alright, let's see. I've got a couple ideas for some of the aspects of this. This is gonna be a fun one. This is for all of the serious darkness involved in the Guardians. This one is gonna be all just goofies, counter smell. That is true Ring of the Grammarian right there. That is true Ring of the Grammarian, and I love it. I love it a lot. I just like wordplay. Puns in general really get me going. I love that stuff. Alright, you create a 20-foot radius sphere. Okay, so I'm going to change this to say a 20-foot radius sphere of yellow nauseating gas is formed centered around the enchanted item. The cloud spreads around corners, and its area is heavily obscured. The cloud lingers in the air for the duration. You want the ring now? This is gonna be such a goofy enchantment. Stinking cloud. This is gonna be so good. Each creature that is completely within the cloud at the start of its turn must make a Constitution saving throw against the poison. On a failed save, the creature spends its action that turn retching and reeling. Creatures that don't need to breathe or are immune to poison automatically succeed. Okay, I think that's fine as it is. Moderate wind. Yeah, and I think we can leave the wind clause as well, because I have a couple ideas for this. So, if sentient, good. So if it's good, tries to smell good, but the odor is so thick, it's like breathing in a cloud of perfume that is way too heavy. So it still has the same effect, but it tries to smell like lilac or something like that. I feel like that's what good is. Like, and it like, I feel like it tries to do like a different one. Like other times it tries to smell like freshly baked bread, but it's like so thick and heavy that it's just like trying to breathe underwater because it's just like such a heavy, humid version of that. Or it's like it smells like burnt bread or something like that. I think that'd be really good. And then if it's evil, oh man, what would be a good evil one? If the cloud is evil, I feel like it tries to smell like something that invokes bad memories for those trapped in it. So it's like it almost has like a mild form of telepathy. And so like if someone in it had like a really bad experience like wrestling in high school, it smells like the BO of that one guy that always pinned them and made them feel ashamed or something. I think that right there is what it is. I think that sounds pretty evil. Evil might be a strong word for that, but I don't know if I know another word that would describe that. I feel like if it's lawful, we'll try to move against any wind to keep itself in place for twice as long. For twice as long as normal against said wind. So that way, like, it'll try and stay there a little bit longer. It'll try and do its thing. And I have wrestling in the UK. I feel like I feel like fortunately or unfortunately, it just sort of depends on your interests. I mean, I was never into wrestling myself, but I'm a kickboxer, so like combat sports there's value. There's value. I think it depends on whether or not you're forced to do it, like whether you're required to do it or not. Like in my school, we were never required to do it, so it wasn't really a big deal. But like if it's a required part of like your PE class or something, then yeah, that's definitely a tragic thing. Yeah. That's it. So okay, so chaotic. This was the first idea that I had for this one. Chaotic. The cloud will try to stretch away from the casting item. I'm gonna say up to 10 feet in any direction to pick on one person in particular. So like if it gets cast on someone and they try to move away, it'll have up to 10 feet of movement to follow them and just keep trying to surround them. You know, like when you're at a campfire and the cloud of smoke follows you no matter what direction you go. The wind moves so that the smoke follows you. Only it smells like butt crack instead. I think that's beautiful. I think that's delightfully chaotic evil right there, honestly. But then if it's chaotic good, it picks someone and it's like trying to make it, it's trying so hard to invoke memories of grandma by surrounding them with the smell of freshly baked cookies, but it just smells like burnt cookies and it's just way too strong and heavy. It's like you're in the oven with the cookies and that's not good. I really like this spell. I like that this spell is especially like if we give it sentience, it's essentially just like a dog that got sprayed by a skunk, and that's what it's trying to do. Oh boy. Oh boy. Extra. So the extra powerful. So if it's cursed, um. Okay, so the question is, do we make it so that the cloud is bigger, or just extra powerful on the odor? Is what my thought is. Um. It must bathe in tomato juice. It's perfect. Wearing boxing gloves on your feet. Yeah, because of kickboxing. Wah wah. Wah wah. No, it's just like having very, very padded socks. It's quite cozy. It's like having slippers on. Except that I have huge, humongous feet, so they don't fit in my boxing gloves very well. Which is, you know, that's just the way it be sometimes. Comes mustard gas. That's kind of what my thought is. Like, it would do, like, acid damage. The cloud becomes acidic in nature. Against poison fail, the creature spends its action that turn retching and reeling. Creatures that don't need to breathe. Yeah, so cloud becomes acidic in nature, so that any creature starting its turn in the cloud takes, I'm gonna say 1d6 corrosive damage. So it's just like it'll it's cloud kill. I mean, it kind of is, but like we're talking about a cursed item. I don't see any reason why we can't have it kind of do that. I think I don't know. I think that's a really good way to just add that little extra bit there, and they would like doing that. But the problematic side effect, my thought here is, the cloud is persistent and will remain indefinitely until the user retrieves the item, subjecting them to the effects of the cloud as well. And then let's see here. Yeah, hey, you know what? Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you being around. I'll be back. I'll be on for a little while longer. We'll be done doing D&D fairly soon, but I'm gonna stay on and do some video game streaming as well. So if you want to just stop by and shoot the breeze and watch me play some games, you're more than welcome. Either way, I appreciate you stopping by, my man. All right, let's see what it takes to remove. Must be removed magically, or else. Let's see. It must be removed magically, or else will self-cast and try to suffocate the user until they are unconscious or give up trying to remove. Boom. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's good. I think that's really funny. I think that's really funny, and I think it works quite well. Yeah, I'm into it. All right, let's see here. I got time for one more. I got time for one more before I gotta make my switch over, and get ready to do some. Today it's no sky guy, as I like to call it. That is the game that we will be playing today. But we got one more. We got at least one more imbibement in us, and we're gonna do summon Fae. Ooh, this one's gonna be a really fun one. This is gonna be a really fun one. I'm not going to put the stat block for the Fae creature within my notes there, because we're just kind of copying the spell. Any player that has the enchanted item with it can just pull up the spell and have their own spell reference for it. I think that works just fine that way, and so that's how I'm going to do this. But let's see here. Let's in here and we'll copy that. And then we can bring it over here. And then, let's see here. So, summon Fae, again, this is, again, going to be on any item. It just, like, it feels almost broken record to say it. But really, when we're doing the conjuring things, just because the spell produces something, it's really, it doesn't matter what item it's on. Like, when we get to other schools of magic, it'll be easier to understand why I have the template set up to separate out weapons and armor, you know, and even like other like non-combat oriented items, because it's like, you know, if you have something that just does fire damage, you know, like if you have burning hands, you can instead like kind of make it the sword just sort of like a natural, like a burning sword or something like that, so that on the sword, like, it causes fire damage to someone who's attacking it, whereas on the armor you can have it be so that like it's triggered, so that when someone does like a melee attack on you, the armor heats up. So it's like, you know, it's like if someone tries to grapple you or something like that, right? So it kind of changes the nature of it. But with the conjuration, it just doesn't really work that way, because it's producing something outside of whatever the enchanted item / spellcaster themselves. So it's repetitive to say it every time, but you know, it's just the nature of the school of magic that we're working on right now. Let's see here. So we got our bullets here, got our format there. Okay, so you call forth a Fey spirit. A spade spirit. They're a little ornery about it, but generally speaking, it's for the best. Bob Barker would be pretty happy with you. Now, it manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see. It manifests. So this one is going to say in the space. In the space where the enchanted item is cast. Corporeal form uses the face spirit stat block. When you cast the spell, choose a mood: fuming, mirthful, or tricksy. The creature resembles a fake creature of your choice, marked by a chosen mood, which determines one of the traits in the stat block. The creature disappears when it drops to 0 hit points or when the spell ends. Creature is an ally to you and your companions in combat. The creature shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. It obeys your verbal commands, no action required by you. If you don't say any, it takes the dodge action and uses its move to avoid danger. And so what one thing I want to do is say, Fey spirit that is tethered to the enchanted item, and so cannot move further than, we're going to say, 30 feet from that item. So it's like it stays there. So it's like if you hold on to the item, it'll like appear next to you, and it'll stick within 30 feet of you. Or if you cast it and drop that item, then the Fey creature will stay in that area, right? So you can kind of use it like a chess piece almost, right? Where it's like you control part of the board with it or something. I think that'd be a really interesting thing. Do you and your creatures at higher levels, when you cast a spell using 4th level or higher, it's the higher level of what other spells. That's perfect. I think that's great as it is. And I think that's all we really need to do for this one. I think that's the only change we need to do, because I think it's just the item then brings forth the thing. So if it's good, and so here's what I want to do: fuming, mirthful, or tricksy. So if sentient, if it's good, will only assume actually, let's see here. I kind of want to think about this here, because it has the moods, and so I kind of imagine that based on the sentience, it will always call forth a specific mood. But if it's good, let me see something here. I want to check. So you're fuming. The Fae has advantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of its turn. Mirthful. The Fae can choose one creature it can see within 10 feet of it to make a wisdom saving throw against a spell DC save. Unless the save succeeds, the target is charmed by you and the Fae for 1 minute until the target takes any damage. Tricksy. The Fae can fill a 5-foot cube within 5 feet of it with magical darkness, which lasts until the end of its next turn. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking here. Good. Takes on the mirthful trait but is flavored as trying to make the target a friend. So it's like it tries to make friends with the target and tries to you know, charm them that way. So it's just kind of a flavor thing. Evil always takes on the fuming trait. Lawful, for the lawful one, I want to say takes on the trait that the caster requests. And then if it's chaotic, always takes the tricksy. Actually, no, instead of that, I'm going to say, actually, here's what we're going to say. Takes on the tricksy. How do they spell tricksy? Yeah, okay, I had it right. On the tricksy trait, and only casts where the caster instructs. So we'll only do that one. And then chaotic, roll to see the personality. So it's random. It's a random personality. You have no idea what personality it's going to take, which I think personally, I think that would be the most fun. I think that would be hilarious. But hey, so if cursed, I'm going to say can use any of the personality traits at will. But then the side effect is will always attack the nearest creature other than the caster, regardless of alliance. So you got to be careful. If you get too close to it, it'll just kind of go, it'll freak out and it'll attack whoever's closest. And then what it takes to remove, we'll say must be magically removed, or else will self-cast, and the creature will fight the user until will fight the user. Self-cast and will fight the user. Self-casting repeatedly as a new Fae. Repeatedly, I'm going to say self-casting repeatedly and immediately upon death as a new Fae until the user gives up. So it'll just keep doing that, because it's like, no, we're in this. Yeah, like, no, not happening, and it'll just kind of keep doing that. It'll just keep doing that. That's good. I think that's a really good one. I love the ones for the conjuration. I love these ones where it's like there's an item that it's like a Pokeball almost, right? Where it's just like it'll summon some sort of creature. I love those ones just because the sentience and the cursed nature of them becomes so much more interesting. I love doing those. I love doing them like that. I think it's great fun. So, all right, I'm looking at the time, and it's a couple minutes early, but I think this is a really good time. I don't know if I have enough time to do another full one, and this will be a good time to go ahead and call it a writing stream. I am going to, as per usual, I'm going to take about a 15-minute break, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to be playing some video games. And like I said earlier, today is No Man's Sky Day, so you can see me. I messed up last time, and I accidentally got rid of my ship, and now I only have a broken ship, so I'm in trouble. So we'll see if I can survive and do that. Otherwise, we might be starting a new playthrough. We'll see what happens. Oh man, but yeah, I definitely goofed up. So if you want to see me try and salvage that, you can stick around. I'll be back, like I say, in like 15 minutes since I'm done doing my sign off here. I'm gonna bring us to just our little chatting screen here. There we go. There we are. So yeah, so that's what's gonna happen. Just practicing doing my little plugs here. All my usual plugs. I have a lot of different social media stuff. If you want to be more involved in sort of my stream and just the stuff that I'm working on, feel free to. I have an interesting or excuse me, a series of social media stuff. Sorry, that was a brain fart right there. So I've got Discord if you want to get involved with that. I do a lot of involvement with people. We discussed various D&D things and stuff like that. It can be a really good one. I also put on a lot of announcements there as well, so that's a really good place to kind of get involved if that's what you're interested in. I also have a Twitter now that I'm learning how to use, so if you want to get involved with that, again, a lot of announcements on upcoming streams and all that kind of stuff. It's a really good place to find that stuff. Let's see, what else do I have? I have an Instagram, so I talk about a lot of other things that I do in my life, like kickboxing and rock climbing and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to try and start using my Instagram as a way to sort of, showcase those types of things that you don't see on screen, but you might hear about me while I'm on stream. So there's that one. I do have a YouTube channel, so if you want to see any of the past VODs, anything that I've done beforehand, you can feel free to get yourself checking out that YouTube channel and see all that type of stuff. All the VODs I do go up there. Am I forgetting anything else? Oh, and the other one that I'm the one that I always forget because it's the one that's like the weirdest one for me. I do have a donation link now as well. All of these links, you can find them on the About section of my Twitch page, so you can find the links there. But yes, I'm now accepting donations. I've had people ask about how they can sort of donate to me and contribute to the stream, and I kind of always wanted this to just be for free, but with people asking, it's like, okay, you know what, if you like what I'm doing and you want me to be able to keep doing it, then you can go ahead and contribute. You can donate there, and any money that I get through that, I'm going to just plan on using to sort of upgrade my stream, get better mics, better equipment, stuff like that, be able to use that to fund different games and different projects and stuff like that. So it'll all go back into the stream. So if you want to just help me make cool stuff, then feel free to donate, but there's obviously no requirement for that. But that's everything I got. Tomorrow's Friday. I should be streaming my usual time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time for writing, and then 1:30 p.m. for gaming. And I think that's all I got. So thank you so much to everyone who stopped by. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, so like I say, if you want to stick around and watch me play some video games, I'll be back in like 15 minutes. Otherwise, maybe I'll see you tomorrow, or maybe I'll see you next week. Regardless of when I see you, thank you for being super awesome people. You're all really rad. I appreciate you guys stopping by. It means a lot to me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. So take care of yourself, and I will be back soon.